So let's look at a couple of other principles, and we'll look at some toys to see whether or not they fit in with the Montessori education, some things for some older children. Now this is a board game. It's a little different kind of a board game. I'm not sure if it still looks this way. This is a board game called Harvest Time that is from a company called Family Pastimes, and it's a cooperative game. Instead of having little things that you move around a board, you have little plastic pieces, and these are plastic, so we may talk a little bit more about plastic later. You have a colored die, and the die lets you know which of your fruits and vegetables you can harvest. And the goal is to get everyone's garden harvested before winter comes. Now, if the white part of the die comes up, you must put a piece of winter on the board. And if you haven't gotten all the gardens harvested by the time winter comes, then everyone loses, because that's the nature of the game. It's a cooperative game. Now, this is one of those things that I think is very much in alignment with Montessori principles. It doesn't mean you can't have competitive games. It doesn't mean that you can't have chess and Harvest Time on your shelf together. That could be very, very appropriate. Now, let's take a look at another toy. Now, remember how we said that there are no Montessori toys? Well, but this is a learning thing. Could this be a Montessori-friendly material or a Montessori-inspired material? Yes and no. It's a toy, because it's definitely not a Montessori material, and I would suggest that it is a little bit wrong-headed. It is not doing one of the primary things that we know Montessori learning materials should do, which is isolate the difficulty. Is this a set of snails, or is it a 4? Is this a pair of grasshoppers, or is it a 2? It's very unclear, and so I would suggest this is something you would want to skip entirely. It's neither a Montessori-friendly game nor an appropriate learning material. Well, besides talking about what toys shouldn't be, let's talk about some things that they should be. Well, one is that they definitely can have a learning element to them. Even though this is a toy, it's a fishing game. So what you have is a little fishing pole that's got a magnet on the bottom of your little hook end. If it were a real fishing pole, it would have a hook. And then you have a set of little fish that have magnets on them. And if you get it over the magnet, then you catch your fish. Now, for an adult, there's not much challenge, and it's a pretty boring game. For a child who is still learning to develop manually, this could be a lot of fun. Now, it has some other good things about it. It's natural materials for the most part. The fish and the poles or wood. There's a string. I've got it in a little basket that's got a little cloth covering and is a natural basket. Now,